All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Just Learn Crypto Show, where we try to take blockchain projects and make them simple enough that even your grandma could understand what's going on. Today we got Jason Brown, who's the head of business development for Komodo Platform. Thanks for coming on the show, Jason.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
So tell me, in a nutshell, tell me a little bit about Komodo and just what you guys do.
Okay, so Komodo is a multi-chain platform. So what we at Komodo we do is provide the tools and technology for people to launch their own blockchains, and at the same time to not have to worry about some of the issues that come up when you're running your own blockchain network, such as 51% attacks, exchange integration, setting up explorers, pools, all the basic stuff, so that a project who has a good idea that's beyond just needing a token, they actually need a lot greater functionality. They would use Komodo and be able to quickly launch with a lot less development time needed than any other platform.
Sweet. So it's how many people since the inception of this platform have you guys onboarded with it so far?
Currently, we have about 50 blockchains right now
Wow.
that are using our service, and all those chains are being secured via a mechanism we've invented called delayed proof of work, which allows them to inherit Bitcoin's hash rate to protect them from 51% attacks through a periodic checkpointing. So yeah, there is quite a substantial amount of chains that are looking at us, and these are just the ones that we know.
Okay.
There are many others. You can spawn a chain by yourself, test everything out, but we wouldn't know that you're doing it. And there was actually several projects that I've talked to that are currently building with Komodo, but they're still in their private development phase
Fair
right now.
enough.
So,
Sweet.
yeah. There's a good bit of projects that are interested, and it seems more and more are looking our way after. They're sort of hitting a roadblock, like developing on other platforms like Ethereum,
Mm-hmm.
because for various reasons, transaction fees, transaction capacity,
Mm-hmm.
things like 51% attacks, like in the case of Ethereum Classic. So yeah, that's
Sweet.
kind of in a nutshell there.
Nice, man. Well, we're definitely gonna break it down and dive into some of those things a little bit more. So, just a couple simple questions. So, can you mine Komodo coin or?
Yes, so Komodo is on the Equihash algorithm, so it's mineable with the Z9, Z11 type of basic miners. Um, Additionally, we have a system in Komodo called the Notary Node system. So the Notary Node system is 64 elected individuals. They get elected once a year. One Komodo coin gives you one vote during the election. And these notary nodes, they have a special mining right that allows them to mine approximately like 1.3% of the blocks each. And several, people might say, "Oh, doesn't this sound centralized?" But in reality, if you look at the distribution of pools on different blockchain, even Bitcoin, like there's only like 13 major pools
Mm-hmm.
on Bitcoin's network.
Mm-hmm.
There might be fewer less, but 13 make up the majority of the hash rate. And it's the pools that are actually the ones that cast the vote for different blockchain governance processes. So, like back when there was a big block size debate, whether
Yeah.
they were debating to add SegWit or not, it was really the pools that were casting the vote, and the miners just mined to whatever pool they wanted to vote for.
Yeah.
But that ends up presenting a problem because that pool might decide, oh, I'm really, I'll get everyone on board with one platform, then the last second switch it,
Yeah.
change my software, and now they're all mining for a different vote that they really weren't, wanting to vote for.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Komodo system, you vote on these delegates to represent your interest, and if you don't like them, then you just vote them out next year.
So, out of 64, how many people actually ran in that like election period or essential to go get down to 64?
Oh, okay. So there was approximately like 100 that were running. Uh,
Okay.
Several have combined, during the election process. They were like, "Hey, we're not going to win, so let's work together," and they created their own, basically little different groups that are running. So there's over 100 people currently that are part of this notary node network system, even though there's only 64 spots. So.
Cool, man. How many exchanges roughly is Komodo available on, and what do you think is like the easiest way if someone's got Bitcoin and they want to invest a little bit of money into, Komodo? What would be the easiest way for them to do that?
Okay, so Komodo's on most of the major exchanges. We're on Binance, Bittrex, Huobi Global, Coinbene.
Okay, so it's not a hard coin to find by any means.
No, not at all. Yeah, we're on Shapeshift, Changelly, so if that's your flavor of exchange, you can use that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if for people looking to buy in, if they already don't have some sort of crypto like Bitcoin that they could trade in, they can purchase it with fiat at several different providers. Netcoins in Canada offers Komodo. Bitpanda in the EU, it's a big fiat exchange that offers us there. In the US, you could buy through Bittrex and through MetalPay.
Cool.
And we're working on other locations as well. I do know that we have some fiat providers that are in Asia as well, South Korea specifically,
cool.
and China.
Sweet. What year did Komodo actually start in?
So Komodo, the project itself, started in 2016, but it is really built off of previous work that was done on the NXT platform back in 2014 and 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically to, make that story, that long story short, is that, the developers on NXT, they raised the transaction fees by 10x, and they kept on basically pushing through updates that weren't backwards compatible with what third-party developers were building on top of their platform. So enough became enough, and then we decided to go off and build our own platform.
Cool. So 2016 officially was like the Komodo release. Gotcha. So 2016, 2017, pretty crazy ass years for crypto. I got in right at the end of 2016. Did you guys do an ICO for Komodo back in 2017 or 2016?
Yes. End of 2016, I believe it was October, we did an ICO, and we raised 2,600-ish Bitcoin.
Okay, that's a pretty good raise.
Yeah, yes. The majority of those funds are for our delayed proof of work mechanism, which through transactions allows third-party chains to piggyback off of Bitcoin's hash rate. So basically, you're sending a transaction with the last notarized block hash of the protected chain onto the Bitcoin.
Okay, so it's kind of just like adding it onto the blockchain blocks, but like separately in its own way.
Right. Yeah, it's done through a normal transaction with some metadata in the op return, but this obviously costs Bitcoin to do. So to ensure that the service is around for a decade or two to come, we did the ICO.
Yeah. Well, there were some crazy ICOs in 2017, man. Like, ICOs that raised hundreds of millions of dollars. So, and then never did anything, right? Just either took the money and ran, or mismanaged the funds and drove the companies into the ground. So, I mean, that's one of the things that I'm impressed with Komodo is it's, we're now 4 years later since you guys started, 4 years pretty much after you guys did an ICO. You guys raised a tiny percent of the money compared to some of these companies that raised hundreds and tens of millions of dollars, and you guys are still here and still building. And I think that's something you guys deserve a round of applause for. So, yeah, man. So one of the big things that got me interested in Komodo was hearing about the atomic swap and the ability to change, Bitcoin for Litecoin without having to go through like a centralized exchange or anything like that. So can you explain, and again, try to keep it as simple as possible, because I'm not the smart one, but just like essentially what an atomic swap means if I'm someone who's new to Bitcoin and I'm like, I just got into Bitcoin, I got a wallet, I kind of understand how this blockchain thingy works. What the heck's an atomic swap?
Right. Okay. So atomic swap is a way for two people to trade with each other, to exchange coins trustlessly. So in our current systems, we either have to use a centralized exchange, which requires you depositing your coins with that exchange, or through some proxy token DEX, which essentially it's the same thing, except that they issue a token on a blockchain where you do the trading. So, but atomic swaps is you're trading the native coin for a native coin.
Okay.
So, to give a simple examples, if you were to trade to Bitcoin for Litecoin, you're able to do that in a trustless way, so you didn't have to worry that your coins could be stolen.
So like, are the Litecoins coming from like someone like me who has Litecoin and wants Bitcoin? It's just the other way around.
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
it's a protocol to allow. Basically, it's like a bartering protocol.
Okay.
I think that's the best way to
So it's like
explain.
bartering, but there's some sort of smart contract or something involved
Right.
to
And the
take
smart
the trust.
contract assures that if a party were to back out of the trade, that you would receive your funds back. That
Fair
there's
enough.
no funds that are stuck in limbo. Yep.
Awesome. And what kind of, like, I'm assuming you need to get people onboarded onto that. You gotta have people looking to get rid of coins, looking for coins. So how's liquidity with the with your atomic swaps, and like how do you plan on getting more liquidity onto them?
Okay, so currently, our AtomicDex app is in beta. So
Okay,
there's a minimal amounts of liquidity
fair
just so
enough.
you can trade. However, we're in the process of building different types of tools to connect in with centralized exchanges. So this will allow you to capitalize on the arbitrage between AtomicDex and different centralized exchanges via your API key that you would use normally at the exchange.
Awesome.
Your trading tools, yes.
Sweet.
So
So
yeah,
how long's the app been in beta now?
so the app was released in beta of July of 2019.
Okay,
Uh, so yeah, it hasn't been too long.
so it's not even a year old yet.
Yeah, it's not even a year old yet, and yeah, it builds upon previous work that we did in 2017, 2018. However, this app is the world's first mobile atomic swap. We really shifted away from the desktop version. We will be releasing a desktop version.
You got to go
However,
mobile first, man. Like,
right, exactly, yeah,
I see so many projects building in the crypto space that go PC first, and it's like you need to have that. Even I'm not going to name any names, but there's a blockchain based social media platform, and they've got. I love their setup. Their UX is great. Their content is great. The people on on the platform are great, but they don't have a mobile app. And I'm not going to open up my browser on my phone and then log in every time I want to engage with that social media community. It's literally something I only use when I'm at home. People need to be able to lie back in bed and have the app open. And I think it needs to be the
right.
first priority. So I'm happy that you guys are doing the app first, man, because I think that's the right way to go for that for sure.
Oh yes, and it definitely it helps with some of the headaches that we get from people. It's like, oh, where's the app? Why can't I use it yet?
Exactly.
They want something in their hands that they can at least see progress is going on.
It's 2020, man. Everyone's got their phone in their hand. That's what they
Right.
need. So let's talk a little bit more about the AtomicDex and what you guys are going to be doing with it over the next couple months, and how it's gonna, like, what makes the AtomicDex different than going to McAfee Dex or Waves Dex,
Okay, so the different kinds of dexes like
other than that you have an app, which sets you
oh, yeah.
apart right away.
So the major difference between such things like Waves Dex or McAfee Dex, I'm not familiar with McAfee Dex, but I am with Waves Dex.
How many people are?
um, but the biggest difference is that those types of dexes work on a proxy token model. So what happens is you're depositing your coins with them, and they issue a token that you can trade on a blockchain.
Okay.
So that's very different than what we're doing. That type of model with the proxy token index still has the same problems that you have with centralized exchanges. And
Yeah, it would
a good
seem.
example of this is CryptoBridge, which recently I believe just went out under. But what happened with them is that people, deposited coins with them. There was some sort of error that more tokens were created than coins that were being backed. So people were able to basically steal, in a sense, other people's funds because they were, cashing out these, non-backed tokens.
And none of my friends told me about this, you Bastards. All right, cool. So that seems like a huge screw up on their part that happened.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a big problem for one of the coins in our ecosystem called Pirate, because they at the time they were they were looking for exchanges. They were brand new, and they got on there, and things were going well for a little bit, and then that issue started happening. Then they shut off deposits and withdrawals, and then all the customers started getting angry, and that they don't blame the exchange, to go blame Pirate. And, so
Sure, their Telegram group lit up real nice.
right, yeah. So there's some issues security wise with
So
that.
what are you guys doing different if you're not using that? Sorry, what was the name again? What were you saying?
Sorry.
The term you used for the technology that those dexes are using. You said it was
Proxy token.
Proxy token. I don't know where I got poly from. Proxy token. Gotcha. So what are you guys doing different? What's AtomicDex doing to get rid of that problem?
Okay, so the first thing is that we do native to native coins. So what that means is that it doesn't require any sort of depositing.
You're holding on to your private keys. You're holding on to your coins literally until the last second.
Exactly, and
Okay.
even when it's in that contract swap, phase, that if something were to happen after a timeout period, it's around 4 hours. Your coins will be returned to you if something were to happen. And
Gotcha.
this solves a huge problem that's in crypto. So we've heard about massive exchange hacks like Binance,
Quadriga,
Quadriga CX, Bitphoenix. I mean, it happens constantly.
A lot of them. More than we could probably sit here and name.
Right, exactly. So with our type of system, there is no like honeypot of coins that attracts all the hackers. Since everyone has their individual coins, if somebody gets compromised, it doesn't affect everybody else.
That makes sense.
That's, one big security mechanism. Another thing is, and this might seem, so one of the biggest differences in between other types of systems and atomic swaps is that atomic swaps act as like an inverse of what you would normally do on a centralized exchange or a proxy token dex. So in a centralized exchange or proxy token dex, you have to deposit your coins. You have to wait a certain timeout period just so that the credit your account. During that timeout period, you're basically just waiting in limbo. Different coins have different amounts of time you have to wait.
I think anyone who's used exchanges and moved coins around has been burned by that before, where you're like,
right, exactly.
You're trying to capitalize on a big green candle, and you're like, show up.
Right, exactly. And then once the coins get there, you're able to do the trade real quick, and then you withdraw. And then typically it has to get authorized, and you wait they process them in batches. So you still have to wait a couple minutes before it actually sends the coins out to your original wallet. So atomic swaps behave like the inverse of that, where the deposit is instant because all you have to do is load your key in. The trading part takes some time because it's blockchain based, so it's based on confirmation. So the trading is actually a lot slower than a centralized exchange.
Okay.
However, that when the trade's complete, you automatically have your coins in your wallet.
Are you locking in the price of your trade when you initiate it, or can that price change? Like, are we talking it could be like minutes, like hours for a trade, or what are we talking?
Minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
Typically within 5 minutes.
Okay. So it's you just mean not instant. Like,
right. Yeah. Like
I'd still say 5 minutes is very quick.
Yeah. So like in centralized exchange, you hit that trade button and it instantly fills. So that's the big difference. So if you actually timed it out from start to finish, it ends up being the atomic swap is quicker, even though it wouldn't appear to be such because the blockchain confirmation.
Yeah, but when you look at it on the whole picture,
right. Yeah. You're not waiting 2 hours for a Bitcoin deposit to clear.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I got one question I want to ask you from one of my friends online who wrote in. This is from John Liberty, his Twitter handle is the Pittsburgh Hodler. How long did it take to get all the atomic swap contracts set up for execution? Now, to me, that sounds like a very vague question. So how would you go about answering that question?
Okay, so with different coins, we've been doing atomic swaps since 2014. Our first ones between, I believe it was Bitcoin and NXT, or Bitcoin Dark and NXT.
Okay.
So for each of the coins, we have basically some information that needs to be filled out. Some custom information based on your coin, like location of the Electrum servers, the what ports you're using, stuff like that. So to add a new coin into AtomicDex isn't too difficult if it's Bitcoin based or Ethereum based. If it's some custom type of chain like Tezos, that takes longer. We have to do some custom development for that.
Makes
Um,
sense.
and speaking of, why I brought up Tezos is because that was our first chain outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum that we integrated into our system, and we're currently looking at doing other ones as well.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah.
That it must have felt good to finally get a third chain on there, eh?
Well, your third type of chain. I mean, like
Third
if you
type, yeah, but
yeah.
something different than Bitcoin and Ethereum, right?
Right. Yeah.
Awesome.
When I say, so for your listeners, when I say like Bitcoin chains, I don't mean just Bitcoin. I mean like
Yeah.
Dash, Litecoin. They're all
Yeah.
based on the same code base.
Yeah.
Same with Ethereum, not just Ethereum, all the different tokens that are
Yeah, all
built.
the your ERC20s or whatever, right? So sweet, man. So what is Antara? Tell me a little bit about Antara, because on the website I was trying to mess around with it a couple days ago, and then got distracted and never really went through the whole process. So tell me a little bit about Antara.
Okay, so the Antara framework is basically our way of allowing people to customize their own blockchain development.
Okay.
Uh, it is so it's two different things. So the first thing is the composer. So that's the actual front end for people to they select, oh, I want this many coins in my
So you can
blockchain.
make your own. You can essentially make your own cryptocurrency on Tara.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. And the second part of it is the modules. So the modules allowed you those custom features. So I would best compare them to like plugins like you would use on like WordPress or a different website building. It
Okay.
gives you that custom feature that's not available normally. Some of those modules that we've created are we've created a stablecoin mechanism. We've created a dice game. Created Oracle feeds. Many different kinds of things, tokens, normal,
Sweet. So
the,
I made some coins on what was it? Raven coin? I think Raven coin and Waves. I made some coins on them in the past. So what's different with Komodo compared to, I don't know if you're familiar with Raven coin or Waves, but what would be different with you guys compared to them when, say, I want to make a coin, and I made mine as total jokes, right? Or just based off memes or whatever, but I'm like a serious developer I want to make a stable coin. Why would I go with you guys over making it with Waves or making it with Raven coin?
okay. So a couple reasons. On Waves and Raven Coin, what you build on their systems is a token essentially. So
Okay.
um, there's not much development work requiring that. Basically, you can just click and add something.
Yeah, it's literally a 2-second process. Yeah.
Right.
Name it. How many do you want? There you go.
Right, and that is great for a lot of projects that don't need much. That they just need some sort of token for
Hmm.
whatever purpose. Like for like loyalty programs and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sort
Exactly.
of thing. Where with our system, it's when you really need a lot more you know tech focused type of features in your coin. So I mentioned the modules just recently. Say you wanted to create a blockchain that was basically provided Oracle features.
What are Oracle features? What does that mean?
Okay, so an Oracle is basically taking data feed from out in the world somewhere, out on the internet somewhere, and then bringing it onto the blockchain. Now, there's some problems. Normally, can you trust the person bringing it on?
Hmm.
It's a major problem. Is that legitimate information? Or are they just pumping whatever they want for whatever purpose?
Yeah.
So using blockchain for this application, you can use all the different nodes that are part of the network to verify that the data is actually correct.
Okay.
Uh, so that type of chain, like you wouldn't be able to build on Waves or Ravencoin.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the ability to program in that type of
So
logic.
Waves, so like, and not obviously not talking anything badly about Waves and Ravencoin. It seems like you guys are just targeting different kinds of markets, but
Right.
they would be kind of like a GoDaddy where you're going on and getting your domain name, whereas Komodo platforms like GoDaddy with WordPress, with all the apps and plugins that you can run in to make it easier to actually get the website, talking GoDaddy's terms, the website going, but you guys would be getting the blockchain business going.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it provides a lot of the taking care of a lot of the things that when you're launching your own blockchain network that you know they're costly, time expensive, or
Hmm.
development costs expensive, such as setting up your explorers, your mining pools, your setting up the delay proof of work to prevent 51% attacks on your blockchain,
Yeah.
getting connected with AtomicDex so your coin can be swapped using our protocol, things like that. So a bunch of advanced features.
So what's
Okay.
like, you can go and get a website domain for $2 sometimes, and I think it cost me $1 to make, my coin on the Waves platform. What's like a cost? What's the cost associated with starting a project on Komodo?
Okay, so that's dependent on how you go about it, right? So
Yeah,
if
of
your
course.
project is ready to go to production, we include like the delayed proof of work, and all the things I just mentioned. The price is approximately 10K.
Okay.
Uh, However, it doesn't mean you have to spend $10,000 to actually be able to use this. The actual blockchain creator could be used via our command line for free. However, if you decide you want to, it's like this is a good chain, I want to bring it to the public, launch a business with the chain. You don't have the features such as the 51% protection, 51% attack protection, and atomic swaps and access to different modules. You have access to some base ones, but later on, more advanced ones come on, you'll have to subscribe to those. So, sort of like a pay-per-play type of model, like that you
Okay.
find in many different plugins and such. So, yeah. The cost is really dependent on what level of development you're in. If you're wanting to experiment around, it only costs as much as the VPSs you're running the nodes on. If you're looking to go production, it's around 10K.
Nice. That makes sense. Cool, man. So I guess obviously that's one way Komodo's making money, but tell me, there's some other ways that Komodo is making money right now, or aside from the ICO and from people using the service directly?
Okay, so we have several. We have about, I mentioned, 50 chains in our ecosystem.
Okay.
All of them are paying for the delayed proof of work mechanism. So they're paying several $1,000s a year to basically be protected from 51% attacks. We also charge a fee for coins that weren't listed in our AtomicDex reference implementation. However, the important caveat with that is that you don't need to actually be in the reference implementation to get your coin to be able to be atomic swappable. So we allow people to build their own GUI for the atomic swap protocol, and they can add whatever coins they want. Just in ours, we charge for that. So
Yeah.
it gives the best of both worlds. We didn't want to put up a paywall, but at the same time, like development costs money. These servers cost money, right? So
Hey, man. Dude, if
it's
you're
not
not
cheap.
if you're not in this world to make money, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, I like sitting in the grass as much as the next guy, but everyone's got to make money.
Right.
So
And one other or a couple other things that we're doing to make funds is that we've made some deals. Actually, one with Netcoins, somewhat recently, a couple months ago, that will be receiving some affiliate commissions. You can buy Komodo via our website now. Click on Buy Komodo, and it will take you to our portal, and that helps development costs as well.
awesome.
And we're looking into other things like
So
that.
people can buy Komodo directly off the website,
Correct.
or
Yes,
they can now, or they will be able to soon.
they can now.
And where
Yes.
would they store that Komodo?
So we have several different wallets. So we have the old school QT wallet,
Mhm.
that most people are familiar with in crypto. We have our AtomicDex beta app, which doubles as a wallet.
Okay.
Um, and then we have about close to a dozen third-party different wallets, such as Koinomi, Garda, Magnum, Chameleon Wallet, several others I can't think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, yeah,
But
fair enough.
yeah, so a bunch of third-party wallets also, except Komodo as well.
That's awesome, man. So what are you guys like? What's most of your focus going into right now? Like, what are you guys trying to roll out over the next 3 to 6 months?
So our main goal for 2020 really is to get the DEX into a production mode. We ran our first stress test in October. It went pretty well. However, we were starting to get bottlenecks at around 100,000 orders. And it was sort of a case where people were trying to connect to orders that were already being filled by other people. So it was like problem with the order book updating quickly enough. Um,
Yeah.
so to fix that, our lead developer, JL777, he has been working on a peer-to-peer messaging protocol that will greatly enhance our transaction capacity. And work can be seen going on with this in the Komodo Discord right now.
Okay.
So there's always work going on in Komodo.
I
But
believe
yeah,
it.
that's the major thing for 2020. We're also working on further refining different modules, namely the stablecoin module. Um, so the stablecoin module allows you to create your own algorithmic crypto-backed stablecoin.
Hmm.
So when doing that type of business, it's very financially costly, and it's it regulatorily, you have regulatory issues with
There's a
that.
lot of red tape and hoops you guys got to jump
Right.
through. Yeah.
So yeah, we're trying to develop the system in a way that people can use it, but also at the same time that people who want to build their own stable coin, don't have as much, regulatory issues as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
so
it's got to be easy, right? If you're gonna offer a service to, help people streamline their own business and their product, you gotta know you gotta go through all the hard stuff to be able to help them go through it as well, right?
right, yeah, yeah, we're basically the scout, if you will. Yeah, we
Yeah, exactly.
see the lay of the
You're the
land.
you're the guinea pig, man.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. Trying to think if I mean, we've covered so much cool stuff, man. What is there anything that you want to cover? Anything that you want to talk about?
Well, yeah, I mentioned that our Atomic Dex is in the beta right now, and
Hmm.
just wanted to encourage your listeners. We're always looking for more and more testers. The app is available via Google Play and the App Store,
Okay.
and on atomicdex.io.
Sweet.
There's also test coins called Rick and Morty coins
Okay.
that you can use to practice with the atomic swaps if you don't feel comfortable using real coins.
Cool. That's a good idea. That's awesome that you guys did that. So we'll definitely put a link for that in the description, and then if anyone wants to check it out, we'll try and get some more people using this Komodo. I think Komodo is so undervalued right now, man, and it blows my mind just like how I talk to so many people, and it's like not. I mean, I find so many people don't venture outside of the top 10 in terms
Yeah,
of crypto, right? So
yeah, it's one of the big problems for smaller projects. It's
yeah,
that
it's
if
you're
you're
either
not,
top 10 or you're nothing.
yeah, exactly, or yeah, if you're on Coinbase or you're nothing or something like that.
Yeah. See, it's yeah. Coinbase used to be in the media so much. I mean, in Canada, it's such an irrelevant topic because
Oh yeah,
it
well you
doesn't
guys
work
got
in Canada, right? So,
oh, yeah.
I mean, it
um,
works as a wallet, but I can't cash out and buy and stuff with Coinbase in my app here.
yeah, I didn't realize that. They were blocking off Canadians.
Yeah, there a lot of the banks too and stuff, and
Oh yeah,
so
bank issues.
so
Yeah.
let's talk for a few minutes just about the crypto market in general. Like, what are some projects that you're looking into right now, or you're interested in, or you think are doing some cool stuff?
Okay. So there's a couple projects from our ecosystem and a couple that are not in our ecosystem. So the first project would be Pirate.
Okay.
That's a coin in our ecosystem. It is the first enforced Z transaction chain. So every transaction except the notarizations on the Bitcoin are they're private. Yeah, so it's like Monero in that sense that it's mandatory privacy.
Okay.
Um, However, unlike Monero, it has a lot, it has a lot larger anonymity set than Monero does. So with a Monero transaction, you only have the the keys that were part of the ring signature that is your plausible deniability.
Okay.
Where with ZK snarks, especially on chain that enforce it, makes sure all the transactions are private. Your anonymity set is every possible transaction that is private. So it's a lot larger and makes it a lot harder for some analysis firm like Chain Analysis or CipherTrace to make a transaction graph linking people to their transactions.
Gotcha.
So that's one project
I
that's
think privacy coins, man, are going to be a really big deal, and they're going to become more of a big deal as more communities and countries start steering away from cash, man. Because, like,
oh,
man, people what are people going to do if there's no cash? Like, I don't think
oh
people.
exactly. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, people aren't really thinking about the ramifications of this.
I
It's
know
weird.
so many people in the crypto space are like, yeah, we need to be a cashless world, and I'm like, I see that causing a lot of problems. I mean, I see
Oh, yeah. I
it's,
mean,
I
how
mean,
many people are fully living off of cash? Like, no.
and we're not talking drug dealers and shit like that. We're talking like mom and pop shops, man, like
Exactly. Yeah,
contractors, like so many people.
and they can accept credit cards and stuff, but then you're basically hitting with an unseen tax of at least 3%, for the
Yeah,
transaction fees. And people think like it's winter where we are right now. So think about this: some kid, walks up to your door and is like, "Hey, I'll shovel your driveway for
bro.
20 bucks."
My
Oh,
first job, that was literally, dude, my first job when I was 11 and 12, going around shoveling driveways, man.
right. Think about it. If no cash in our, a cashless society doing that. So now the government knows that you paid 20 bucks to that kid. That kid has to fill out taxes now because
Yeah,
all the information is being sent to them.
I
It's
know.
like it's insane.
It's such a control mechanism,
Yeah, and
and
it's
that's what
unfortunate.
worries me, man. Is like I value my privacy. I value the fact that if I want to go buy something and I want to use cash, that's like essentially an untraceable transaction, you
Yeah,
know? And I think it's one of those things that people are like, oh, it doesn't really matter until it starts to matter. And then it's like the
oh
only
yeah,
option after that is going to be privacy coins. And there's going to have to be
totally.
some damn
Yeah,
good ones because, I mean, if one transaction can be traced, I think that there should be no, like, you can't call yourself a privacy coin if any transactions can be traced.
right. Yeah, chains that use optional privacy. Well, it might be okay for some use cases. I like don't rely on it for
No.
to be private. Yeah, like Zcash and like Dash and
Hmm.
Dash I wouldn't at all. They just use mixing and that's
Do you know
for
about Mimblewimble? Have you heard that term?
yes.
Do you know enough about it to talk about it?
I yeah.
Like, does
So
it does it actually make coins more private?
no. So okay. Uh I'll go over the pros and cons of Mimblewimble. So the
Sure.
pros of Mimblewimble is that there's no direct address, that there everything, there's no real transaction information that is linking somebody, visible via an explorer. So you're just given the hash of the commitment, and then you're able to see like, oh, where a transaction happened, and the amounts, or not
Yeah.
the amounts, but yeah, you're able to glean some information from it. Um, the problem with Mimblewimble, as it currently stands, is that it's an interactive protocol. So that means a person has to get online to be able to receive their coins.
Yeah.
Well, that's a problem because
IP address gets chased. Yeah.
right, and you can time like, oh, yeah, like this person got on at this time, and then we see a transaction on the Mimblewimble chain that happened at this time. Then you're making this correlation, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a and it's just recently there was a article posted um, about how okay, so when you're running a node on Mimblewimble, you receive all the transactions like that are happening. You don't know
Yeah.
who, but you know the times now,
Hmm.
and you know the linkage, and you're able to figure out, even though that a lot of the information is obfuscated, you can create a transaction graph and start linking transactions to other transactions.
Hmm.
Mimblewimble, I would not rely on that for privacy in its current state. I do know that they're working on some other types of mechanisms to make it more private. But yeah, at the current time,
It's not the all to go to solution for privacy.
correct.
So the one that you mentioned was, sorry, you said it was Pirate,
Pirate, yes.
and is that like do they have an app? Do they have a website? How can I look into them?
Uh, their website is pirate.black.
Okay.
They're available through it's a bunch of smaller exchanges.
No problem. I want to look into that. And are they something you'd consider more private than, like, is that what they're
Yeah,
targeting? That's their goal. They want to be a
yeah,
privacy broker?
that's the only, that's their whole thing. They're focusing on doing one thing and doing one thing really well.
Okay. And
Privacy is, yeah,
from someone who comes from like you come, obviously from a more technical background, like, are they more private than Monero?
yes.
Okay.
In non-entity sets and chains that use zk snarks are based upon how many transactions are in that black box that are shielded, as they say.
Hmm.
In Monero, the privacy is based off of all the amount of different mix-ins, so different keys that are associated with the transaction. So I believe there's like 13 or 14 right now in Monero. Just simple math for that. 14 is a lot smaller than the entire amount of anonymous transactions that have ever
Yeah.
happened in Pirate. So that is why I would say Pirate is a lot more uh, anonymous. And in some ways, I would say is because they use our delayed proof of work mechanism, I would say they're more secure as well.
Okay.
Because currently, with Monero, they have always had this thing about wanting to be GPU friendly and CPU friendly for reasons of decentralization. Problem with that is though is like I never really understood the GPU CPU argument, because the way I figure it is anybody who has enough money to buy a bunch of ASICs has enough money to definitely buy a bunch of GPUs and such.
Hmm.
You're not solving the problem. Yeah, you let more people go in, but it's a lot easier to source CPUs and GPUs from Amazon, Google, the hundreds of thousands, not hundreds, thousands of different cloud service providers that offer this compute power for rent. Where with chains like their ASIC based chains, you only have a few providers that you can really rent hash rate from, like Nice Hash, Mining Grid Rentals. You might have some deals with some farms that personally, but it's not like you just go on Amazon and oh, I want an Equihash ASIC because
Yeah.
but you can. It's like, oh, I want a GPU so I can mine Monero or some VPS instances, and you can get that right away. So I would say in some sense Monero is less secure than Pirate, because of the ASIC thing, and because that they're not backing up onto Bitcoin or another higher hash rate chain.
Nice, man. Is Komodo going to any conferences or anything in 2020?
Yes. One of the conferences that we're discussing right now is the Paris Blockchain Week. That's in March. That's the only one right now that we've been actively discussing, but typically we go to about 3 or 4 a year.
Okay. Est-ce que Komodo a les personnes qui parlent français?
I don't speak French.
Well, there you go. That answers my question.
Yeah, I personally don't, but we do have many French-speaking members.
All right. Well, if you want to send me to Paris, you let me know.
Actually, France is, I would say, judging by our website traffic, is our number 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, by nationality. U.S.
Wow.
number 1 and France number 2, and
No way.
I think Canada's like around 9 or 10 actually right now. So.
Oh, well, let's bump that up. We got to get Canada up there.
Definitely.
That's
Yeah.
cool. So that's a whole week of blockchain like mini events.
Yeah, they
Or?
have a bunch of different events. It's mainly of one conference that's a couple days long, but then there's little sub conferences that happen. Um, we may make an appearance at Consensus. We're not sure yet. Um, that's always been a hit or miss thing because
Yeah.
I went to Consensus last year, not as a participant, but just to you know scope it out, right?
Mhm.
And it's costly. You're dealing with a lot of types that are very new and into crypto and stuff, and um, at least from my perspective as business development, a lot of what we like to do at conferences is more network with like the businesses that are in the space.
Yeah.
See if there's ways to collaborate, ways that
Yeah.
maybe they have something we
I've
need, or
heard Consensus is literally just a shill fest for venture capitalists. Like,
right. Yeah. And since we're an open source community and not really a company, even though
mhm.
we have companies in our system, we're not trying to, pander to venture capitalists.
So I guess like something that would be more up your alley would be going to like hackathons and stuff where you're actually dealing with different developers that are interested in that.
Yeah. Hackathons, meetups, meetups where, people are, it's more where people are being more legitimate, more honest about like their
Yeah.
intentions, not trying to sell you something.
So yeah, the problem. So where I live in Calgary, the problem that I'm dealing with is that the only meetup that actually has uh, enough people going and smart people going anyway is they're all Bitcoin maximalists. They will not even talk about anything else, no other projects, and I won't even go anymore because I'm just like, man, I want to talk about Komodo and Ethereum and Presearch and all these other tokens, and they're just so close-minded on Bitcoin only. And
Yeah, well, I personally have never understood that. It's like, you know, it Bitcoin's still running the 10-minute block times. It took them years to decide a simple, decide a solution on a very simple problem. Like, changing the block size literally was, you change one friggin' digit in the code.
I know it spawned like an entire career and fame for Roger Ver and all these guys.
Right. Yeah. And they decided to go the SegWit method, which they argued because they didn't want to increase the block size, but SegWit effectively increases the block size to 4 megabytes anyways. So
Mhm.
it was years of arguing for they can't do anything
Yeah.
quick.
I love Bitcoin, obviously. I mean, I think
Oh yeah,
Bitcoin,
I mean,
and I think like especially in this game, that just the brand recognition, no one's ever
yeah,
going to take that away from Bitcoin. Bitcoin's
right.
always going to be the first big cryptocurrency that fucking swept the world and shook everyone's thoughts about centralized banks and money systems and what we even
Oh
think money is. It's
yeah,
always
I
going to have
agree
that.
with that. I don't see it losing its position anymore, but suggest like Bitcoin is somehow
The
technically
best
superior.
technology out there, I don't
Yeah,
agree with that it is either. So
yeah. It's like, have you used the thing?
yeah, exactly. Oh man. So that's yeah, man. One thing I would say is if Untraceable does an event in Toronto this year, they have an event called the Futurist Conference. And it's by far the best event that I go to in Canada every year. I haven't heard whether they're going to be doing another one this year yet. I haven't heard either way. So, but if they do, man, I would love to see Komodo out there. So I'll definitely let you know if I hear anything through the grapevines that they're going to be doing another event. 2 years ago, I got to hang out with the Cardano guys. I met Larry King at that event. Max Kaiser was there. It's usually just one of those who's of who's going to be walking around, and yeah, just a great opportunity where I think like it doesn't have the consensus vibe. It's not like that at
Well,
all.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Just let us know, and we'll see if we can make it.
Sweet, man.
It's we're always looking at going to different events and such. But as I said, we're trying to be frugal, definitely because this bear
Yeah,
market
dude,
has
there's
been going
so
on
many
for 2
events.
years. So
Yeah, I noticed. I think me and everyone else noticed. Yeah. So I don't like talking about price or that much, but like do you think where Bitcoin's at right now? Do you think it's going to keep going up? What are your thoughts on it right now?
I mean, I think I mean, I can't make a prediction for
Of course,
the
I
day
don't
to
know. What's your
day.
gut telling you, man? I'm
I,
not saying to back it up with any reason, but
Right. I would say within the next 2 years, we're definitely going to see a pretty big price increase in Bitcoin.
yeah,
However, after that, I think it's really going to be a different kind of game. Like in terms of, um, people even now are, questioning if Bitcoin,
I think
these
it's going to
floors
turn
might.
into like gold, man, where it's like it's going to find its
Well,
value and it's going to fluctuate slightly, but
well, there's some issues with how they're planning on doing things, and that could be pretty game changing on with this whole SegWit Lightning Network thing that they pinned their hopes on. At least from what we've seen in the states, is like they're trying to make these validator nodes on Lightning Network require money transmitting licensing,
hmm,
which is crazy. Like in the
defeats the whole
U.S., that's
purpose. Yeah,
well, exactly. Yeah, if this was supposed to be a system that anybody could take part in, and now you're,
exactly.
making it to only rich people who, have the resources to deal
Get
with
an
all the
MSB. Yeah,
compliance. Yeah, so that's one issue I really see with
yeah, I
Bitcoin.
don't like that.
Because if they're pinning all their hopes on that, and then they're trying to say that all these you know validators who are hosting these channels are uh, custodial in some sense, then and they try to regulate them heavily, then that might just might kill Bitcoin for at least how it was intended to
Hmm.
be used. And no, I'm not one of those people like Roger Ver is like, oh, Satoshi's vision and blah blah blah, and like, yeah, I'm not like that at all. But it's at that point, if they go that far with it, then what's the point?
Hmm.
Like, the point was to have a currency system that was not tied to any government, not for government to insert itself in, to add regulatory hurdles to so we become accepted by the mainstream.
Yeah,
And
that's
as
not.
that, that's not, for one, is not what I consider accepted by the mainstream. That the
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
putting
I
some,
hear you. All right,
yeah,
rapid fire question. Two
okay.
questions in a row. Boom, boom. Is Craig right? Satoshi Nakamoto? Will John McAfee eat his own dick? Go.
No and no.
All right, cool.
It would be hilarious to see John do that.
I talked to him about it a couple times. I was like, dude, what are you going on about, man? And you know what, man? Like, after knowing John for a while, talking to him a couple times, and also seeing that the documentary. I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary about him.
I've heard of it, Gringo or something. I
Yeah,
haven't seen it yet.
dude,
Yeah.
watch it. Like, I mean, I gained and lost levels of respect for him after, but gained in some ways, but you know what, like, dude, he's just that guy plays the media. That's what he does. That's what he's done since he got into the cybersecurity world. He's like, John McAfee is the Roger Ver of crypto, in the sense that Roger Ver is such a showman. And I mean, I've met Roger in the past and seen him at conferences and see how he's like, he reminds me of like the Jerry Springer of crypto. He's so eccentric and blah blah blah. Look at me. And John was that to the cybersecurity world before crypto was even a thing. And then now John McAfee's the John McAfee of the crypto world. But I mean, I think his relevance is really slipping away. It already has.
Oh,
And
yeah. I mean, when you start shilling shit coins that are
getting
like,
them tattooed on you.
yeah, like that. Yeah, like, wow, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well,
like,
listen, man,
yeah.
I've had such a great time chatting with you, man. I feel like, honestly, like, we accomplished the goal of making Komodo understandable for a grandma. Not that we're saying we want your grandma to go out and buy Komodo, but we just want to make it simple for people to understand. So, unless Marley has a question, no? Never. She never asks any questions. Yeah, we'll wrap it up, man. Thanks again for coming on the show. Guys, check out Komodo. We're going to have links for all their social media in the bottom. We're going to have links for the AtomicDex. So download the app. Like, help be part of the community. Help contribute to this AtomicDex. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, reach out to Jason. And also, man, thanks so much for coming on the show. I hope you have a great day.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Cheers.